Hello and welcome to this episode of Eamon on Track. I'm Eamon, and today we will be reviewing the White Album, the self-titled album by the Beatles. Yep. Today I have Jeff Mader,
Howdy.
professional Beatle head.
Yep. Beatlemaniac.
Yep. So let's jump into the cover. And for once, I actually get to pull up my vinyl.
We'll do it together. Oh, you have the one with the black stamp.
Yeah. What do you got
Mine's
there? You got the embossing?
Yeah, mine's the embossed one.
Mhm.
There you can see it there.
Yeah.
Mine's more recent. Some of them are printed in England, and some of them.
The 2018 release, or
this one's 2018, pretty sure.
Yeah, that's the Giles Martin mix. Pretty nice. This is
Yeah.
an 80s mix.
Oh, that's the 80s mix?
Yeah. Really like that one.
George. Yeah. So, yeah. And then that's the inner
you got that
sleeve.
beautiful thing with the pictures of the Beatles in there.
I don't actually have the pictures anymore, unfortunately. I was stupid. I also don't have the poster anymore, which is sucks because I hung it up when I was in college.
This version never came with it because I got it secondhand. But another thing we could talk about, I guess, is that this album was stamped with numbers.
Yeah, originally in the UK, US, I think Germany did it, Japan did it.
Yeah, they had these numbers. So
some of them are worth a lot of money, especially the early.
I'm sure because some the first four belonged to the Beatles. So
yeah, I think Ringo's number 4 sold for like $2 million or something.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get into the tracks. Got Back in the USSR first. So I really like this song. Reading up on it, it's like basically almost a parody song of Back in the USA by why is his name slipping me?
Well, actually, it was originally written as Back in the UK.
Oh.
But yes, and then he was like, "Oh, back in the USSR, it was kind of it's a play on words again." So you're right. But yeah, it is interesting that the enemy at the time
was the USSR.
Yeah, and it's kind of a fun.
It's always very funny to me that this like very this song called Back in the USSR is like very plainly surf rock, this very American genre.
Yeah, very Beach Boysy. Like that's kind of what they're kind of playing for. Yeah,
which of course was a contemporary for them.
Yeah, and Back in the USA was the Beach Boys song, right? So
yeah, I believe so.
Oh, Chuck Berry. Sorry, Chuck Berry.
Sorry, Chuck Berry. Yeah.
Anyway. Which they loved. Chuck Berry is. I would say Chuck Berry is probably the Beatles' number one influence. Of all of them like Chuck Berry and were hugely influenced by him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's a great way to start the album, don't you think?
So,
like
too.
it's a fun, it's a fast song, it's a rocker. There's a lot of ballads on this album, so
there's a lot of ballads on this album. Yeah.
So it's a good
we'll get into I'm sure some songs we also don't like as much here, but I don't know. I just think that this your beginning of your album should get me in the mood to listen to it.
Well, I think Back in the USSR definitely does that.
I think so too. Yeah.
There's only a few rockers on this album.
Yeah.
And this is one of them.
Yeah.
And it's needed. It's a really needed song, especially like there's not a lot of like heavy electric guitar songs. There's like Helter Skelter,
Revolution 1,
Your Blues,
Revolution 1, and that's about it.
And While My Guitar Gently Weeps, and that's about it. So I'm glad that it's the first song.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, move on to Dear Prudence, which I've always felt like these two songs like are very like a 1-2 punch on this album.
Yeah, definitely. And but in a lot of ways very opposite. One's like a plucking acoustic Dear Prudence. It's very like surreal. And Back in the USSR is more like in your face, political. So
There's
they definitely work together because they're like opposites.
Yeah, very much so. And I've just always really liked this song.
Me too. Named my daughter after this
Yeah,
song.
named your daughter out, and you got a tattoo of that. So like,
Yeah.
yeah.
There we go.
So yeah, I'm sure you hate this song.
No, it's you know what? It's probably my favorite Beatles song.
I can see that.
If someone asked me what's your favorite Beatles song, I would probably pick this one.
It's a good pick.
Yeah,
I think one of my favorite Beatles songs, maybe my favorite Beatles song, is also on this album. We'll get to that when I get to that.
Okay. But Dear Prudence, just quickly to talk about this song, is that it's so well done. I feel like I can. It's short. It's actually 3 minutes 56 seconds. It's a long song actually, but it feels short. And I always love listening to it because I don't feel like it's 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's actually something I can say very much about this album. We talked about The Last Waltz. Was that last week? I think.
Yep.
I very much feel like that album didn't flow nearly as well for me. There were a lot of times when I was like, can we just get on with this song? Can this be like half the length? I never really felt that with the White Album.
The White Album, there's only a few songs where when I listen to this album in succession where I go skip.
Yeah.
And there's only like maybe 3 or 4 of them. And I'll tell you which ones those are when we get to them. But yes.
And pretty much. And yeah, no, this is just an amazing song. And then we also get we go on to Glass Onion. Now I really like this song because it very much, John even mentions it, but it almost feels like a sequel to I Am the Walrus in a sense.
Yeah, it's kind of an answer to I Am the Walrus. I love Glass Onion. It's one of my favorite songs on the first side of the disc one, side one of the White Album. Other than a Wild Honey Pie,
yeah,
I don't think they're all amazing songs.
They're all pretty amazing.
I don't know why they put Wild Honey Pie on that side.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Bury it. I don't like that track. I don't understand why it got on the album, considering they had other songs that ended up going on later albums that they could have used. But anyway, as for Glass Onion, it's one of my favorite songs because I love all the clues and all the Paul is dead, like kind of different mythology that goes into that song, and it's just a fun listen to, every single time. Oh, you still there? Oh, you're kind of frozen. Oh, well, Eamon's frozen, but like if we want to talk a little bit about Glass Onion here for a second, what's so great, it's such a self-referential song. The way John starts it off with I told you about strawberry fields. He goes the place where nothing is real. There's some great stuff on Glass Onion that I just love listening to. I could listen to it like 10 times in a row. That's how much I like this track. The White Album gives you a lot of that where you're like, I want to hear that again. And for me, Glass Onion is one of those songs because it's so, the beat, it moves, it's fun, it's got great lyrics, and you get to think about about 10 different songs that they've already written, and you can go, oh, that's a great. I don't think a band has done a song like this since John Lennon did this one, because it's so cool that it's self-referential and it's on the White Album. So yeah, it's great. Anyone who doesn't like this song, I'll never understand. Hopefully Eamon can make it back in here. But we can move on to the next song, which is Obla Di Obla Da, track 4. Now, with Obla Di Obla Da, you have a track here that's basically a McCartney short story. You have a track that's telling the story of Desmond and Molly, and they meet at the fair and they're going to get married, and it's a happy song about a kind of tumultuous relationship at first, that they meet in the marketplace. It's very fairy tale-esque the way which is kind of interesting because the way it was originally written was he wanted to do it. Paul wanted to do it as a slow song. Whereas, Eamon,
Okay,
you're back.
sorry, I apologize. My internet had issues. I'm back.
Okay, where I moved on to Obla Di Obla Da. I kind of gave my thoughts on Glass Onion, unless you want to say something else.
No, I think it's a pretty amazing song.
Yeah, I love it. I could listen to it over and over and over.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how much I like it. I don't think a band has done something like that, even
Yeah.
really since, where it's like that self-referential, and you put that much different other tracks that you put in, into one track. But anyway, Obla Di Obla Da.
I feel like a lot of people really hate this song, and I don't entirely get it. It's just a fun little song about a couple. It doesn't need to be more than that.
Yeah, well, the Beatles, really hated it because Paul forced them to play it over and over and over and over and over, much like Maxwell Silverhammer on Abbey Road. It was which there's a song that's coming up on side 3 or 4 with Savvy Truffle, where George Harrison has a line where it's like, we all know obla di blah da.
Yeah,
right? Because they all sang it, like they had to learn it over and over, and Paul couldn't get it right. Paul wanted to make this song a slow song, which I'm so glad he did. Like John,
he didn't. Yeah,
that John was able to convince him to do it as a fast piano song,
because it's so much better that way.
It's so much better that way, and it is a good. It's a fun type ballad. I was saying it's very much like a fairy tale story, short story.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I really like the instrumentation on this album. I will say, I think that Ringo's drumming, to me specifically on this album, is particularly amazing.
Yeah, it's again, I don't think I'm just reading a little bit about here, but apparently McCartney wanted to make this kind of like more of a reggae song. And because in India there was this reggae guy that said this line to him, like obla di obla da, man, life goes on, life, and that's kind of the inspiration for the song. And he says that in an anthology, but I think that's why he wanted to make it like a slower, kind of like almost like Bob Marley before Bob Marley type song.
Interesting.
But eventually you can't do what you can't do.
Yeah. you gotta change it.
You got to make it work, for who you are and how you are going to play it and what's best for the song, But so, and that's how they put it together. And apparently this was the song that they would play to Prudence Farrow to try to lure her out of her room and kind of inspire Dear Prudence. So it's good that they both show up here on side 1.
Yeah, I think so. I think that they both, because that's what Dear Prudence is about. It's about Prudence Farrow. And it's very also anti Maharishi Mahesh. So, but we'll get into that later too.
Well, yeah, Sexy Sadie is all about that.
A song you'll never hear anybody complain about not being like, if this song was not on this album, I think everybody would be merciful.
52 seconds of nonsense doesn't need to be on the album.
52 seconds of
some
basically
people, I'm sure, like it.
Just like just like this out of tune jamming thing. I don't even know how to describe. I almost think it's like a jab at like the regular Honey Pie, which comes on song side 4 or something like that. But I think they're both Paul songs.
Yeah, they are.
So I don't even know.
I just don't think they needed to put this song on the album. This is the only one. I'm not a hater on Revolution Number 9. This is the only song I would definitely take off the album.
Yeah, same.
Because I just don't think it needs to be there.
No,
But anyway, there's not much more to say about this song other than I don't like
it. I can at least say that it's mercifully less than a minute long, but that's the only consolation this is getting.
Yeah, like the only thing that's kind of good about it is the end part of it, where he kind of goes, "I love you, honey pie," and then it goes into the next song, which we'll get to, but which is the continuing story of Bungalow Bill,
right?
and he goes, "Hey, up," and then and it's just, "Hey, Bungalow Bill," right?
Yeah,
It's so I
flows
like the
well.
trend.
That's for
I
sure.
like that transition,
Yeah,
and I think it's the only reason it's on the album is for the
pretty much.
transition to Bungalow Bill,
Mm,
which is a great song. But
mm.
Wild Honey Pie is just not for me. I don't
No,
like
it's
it.
garbage.
Yeah, it's I don't like. I've never liked it.
I've never
Every
liked
time,
it.
every time
Yeah,
it comes on, I just skip it.
yeah.
Because it's not for me. It's not necessary. But
Mhm.
anyway,
Let's talk about the continuing story of Bungalow Bill. Uh, this is a very, I know we talked about back in the USSR being a political song, but I think that this song is much more, maybe not political, but it very much has a message about hunting.
yeah, yeah. It's I think it's supposed to make you think about kind of hunting and killing basically.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Uh,
much like Happiness is a Warm Gun.
yeah, yeah, it's true.
Uh,
Um, but I've always very much liked how this song has a like a couple of like kids singing in it. I think that
yes.
is a really good aesthetic. It's like he's telling the story to the kids.
Yes, it's very much it's the song is told that way. It's very much like a kid's story. A lot of the songs on the White Album are like that, and
Yeah.
that's what's kind of neat about the White Album is,
Mhm.
but they're very serious subjects,
Yeah.
and I think that's
Really.
what's really cool about it is that
Mhm.
it's
Let's look around at this. There's hunting. There's communism. There's a man searching for his wife after he gets stolen by her like lover or something, and then gets killed, or not killed, but shot. Uh, yeah, which is Rocky Raccoon.
yeah,
Anyways,
yeah. Um, right. There's a lot of those, like, they're almost fables. A lot of these songs,
yeah,
and that's I really like about the White Album is that they're all little short stories
mm,
for the most part, almost every song,
mm.
and so you're just kind of jumping back and forth between a little poem or a little short story,
Yeah,
and it
it's
has a
nice.
narrative.
I very much liked, yeah, and I just like kind of all the ideas on this album personally.
Yeah, and it's if it to me, like, everyone goes, "Oh, Sergeant Pepper feels so complete and it's
Mm.
such a monumental piece." I feel that way about the White Album more.
I feel that way about the White Album too.
Yeah.
White Album is my favorite Beatles album.
Yeah, me too. For me too. If I had to
Yeah,
pick one, I would because you get the double album. It's really the only double album they have. And
yeah.
it's like you can kind of make Rubber Soul Revolver a double album, but they are two different albums.
They're two different albums, though. Yeah, exactly.
But if they were, they could be a double album. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so could Sergeant Pepper and Magical Mystery Tour. Like they're kind of to
Yeah.
me joined together as well. And so is Abbey Road and Let It Be. Like
Yeah.
you can join those albums together.
Right.
But the White
But
Album is a
White
complete
Album is their
piece.
only proper double album.
Yeah. Continuing story of Bungalow Bill. It's fun, and
Yeah.
it's the first song that the Beatles have on an album that I think really has Yoko Ono as a prominent piece, which is very appropriate for the time
Mm.
because this is basically when Yoko entered the picture.
Yep.
So so
When Yoko entered the studio.
yeah, it sat on an amp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All
Mhm.
right. You want to move on to the next one?
Yeah. So let's move to While My Guitar Gently Weeps, which is, I'm sure, is the song everybody thinks of here. It's widely considered the Beatles' best song. It's pretty much, by all accounts, a masterpiece.
It's the first Hera song too on the album.
Mhm.
Uh,
Which I wanted to talk about because I have always thought that Harrison has wrote the best Beatles songs.
that I mean, that's definitely there's an argument to be made.
Hmm.
You know, uh, I think that his best rivals Lennon and McCartney's best,
Mhm.
but Lennon and McCartney have more.
Mm.
But if George was allowed to put some of the songs that he got onto, like All Things Must Pass,
Mhm.
onto even this album
Mhm.
or Let It
Yeah,
Be
exactly.
Abbey Road, I think he should have got a better volume.
He should have. This is the only album I can think of where he gets more than 2 songs on it.
Well, yeah, because it's a double album, and then like even the songs he gets, they're good, but I think All Things Must Pass has more like his esque type songs. Some of the songs on this one, and we'll get to some of them, I don't really feel are like his style. But they like Piggies is a good example of that. You never really see.
I thought it was that was a Lennon song, honestly.
No. Yeah, but we'll get to that. But while I get to Artillery Weeps, I think might be their best guitar song.
Yeah,
that they did.
Period. Of course, the famous story of this album or this song is that it's not any of the Beatles playing on here; it's Eric Clapton.
Well, he's doing the lead, of the guitar.
Yeah.
But they are playing like Ringo's playing drums, Paul's playing piano, like John's playing electric guitar, like they're all playing on it. But Eric Clapton's doing the heavy lifting for sure. Because the thing about the Beatles is they didn't have like a premier axe player, like they didn't have an Eric Clapton in their band.
No.
So
Lennon and Harrison were good guitar players, but they were not a Eric Clapton, that's for certain.
No, they weren't even. They're just not that style of guitarist. They're not like soloists, type thing. But they could do it, But that wasn't their strength. Their strength was rhythm and chords and piano, and So even George, I mean, I don't know. Like maybe he could have played the solo, but I don't think it would have been as good.
Yeah, like oh my god, the solo on this is amazing. The just wailing guitar.
Yeah,
beautiful. The piano I love very much. It's a very sad song, which is interesting. I read into it a little bit, and I really think this is about the fans, and how George thinks they've been kind of abused by the companies.
Okay. Yeah, I never heard that interpretation of the song before. But that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the songs that they wrote were kind of sometimes talking about, they often say they were talking about the situation that they were in, which was the Beatlemania and all the fame and all that stuff. So I do feel like that's a big part of where the song comes from.
Yeah, which would obviously connect to that. Yeah. Oh, that's very accurate, I think.
Okay. I mean, it might be the best song. I think most people would say it's the best song on the album. So
yeah, no, I think that's fair. The Beatles, they were so popular that they could have shot someone and still be popular.
You're probably it's that's a good segue to the next.
Yeah, it's a good segue. Yeah. Anyways, Happiness is a Warren Gun. I have always loved this song. I've always loved how almost off kilter it is.
Yeah, well,
I've always thought it was about drugs. Apparently, it's not.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's my personal opinion. It's about heroin.
Yeah.
But yes, John always refuted that.
Yeah.
But he was doing heroin at the time.
Yeah, he was doing.
So it's hard to not think that that's what it's about.
Yeah, no, it's really not. This is a song kind of in like a couple of acts almost.
Yeah, and the way he changes between like the minor key to the major at the end, it's like a release. Like I mean, that's why to me it's very much about heroin, because it's like this like built up angst, like withdrawal for like the first half of the song, and then it bursts into like a release. And so like that's, and I think it's Lennon's best song on the album, actually.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think there's a good argument for that. Just a fun album, just a fun song, and very well made.
Yeah, definitely.
This ends side 1, by the way, and I feel like this might be the best side of the album.
Might be the best side of any album they did. You
Yeah.
know, it really is fantastic. You know, other than Wild Honey Pie, the
There is
whole
literally like only one.
yeah, it's 52 seconds
Yeah,
of transition, which
exactly.
is fine.
Yeah,
You know,
you
uh,
live.
yeah, you live. You move on to side two, uh, which is also good. Side two is kind of like the more acoustic piano ballad stuff.
Yeah,
It brings you down off that high of side one.
yeah, that's fair. You got Martha, My Dear, which I feel like this is a very like stick with me here, almost like a very cowboy piano
Yep,
song.
yep. That's
Yeah,
definitely yeah. It's kind of a country song,
yeah,
for sure.
that's fair.
It's about what it's about, eh?
It's about his mother, I think.
No, no, it's about his dog, his
Oh,
sheepdog that he had up in Scotland. Paul
uh,
did in Campbelltown, Scotland. A big sheepdog that on his farm, and the song's like an ode, a love song to his dog.
mm.
Yeah,
Oh, that's interesting.
yes, and that yeah, everyone was like, "Oh, who's Martha?" And why? Yeah, it's a very sweet song. It's
It's a very
very
sweet song. Yeah, it's
yeah,
got these beautiful George Martin like brass.
yes.
Yeah,
That's the thing about like a lot of the Paul songs is I feel like he had that advantage of being closest to George Martin.
George
So a lot
Martin.
of these songs got the George Martin treatment
Mm,
where a lot of George's songs didn't. And
mm,
even John's songs did get them, but not in the same way.
right.
Like a lot of Paul's songs feel like a film score, and Martha My Dear is kind of one of those
Yeah, I
songs.
can definitely see that.
Yeah.
It's just a great song. Let's move on to
Which
I'm
is I'm so tired, yeah.
yeah. I so I like this song. I know that's getting repetitive maybe at this point. I really do think that like this is just a song about being like in withdrawal. Very similar to Happiness is a Warm Gun, but a different type to Happiness is a Warm Gun.
Yeah, so apparently it's mostly about insomnia because
Insomnia from not taking having drinks or stuff.
yeah, withdrawal is part of it, but it's also about when they went to India, they were doing all this meditation, and because of the way they were doing the meditation, they weren't sleeping, especially like
Mm,
John wasn't sleeping. So
right.
he was up all the time, and then he was so like out of it, tired,
Mm,
that's kind of where the song came from.
mm. Yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting. He has this very quiet demeanor at first, but then near the end of the song, he almost like crescendos up to like a breaking point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I enjoy it too. Like it's very akin to I'm Only Sleeping.
Mhm.
Well, on Revolver, he seems to have like Lennon likes to talk about that
I'm Only Sleeping is
that
a
thing.
Harrison song, isn't it?
Nope,
No.
Lennon.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So it's he seems to kind of like, and I do agree, it is kind of like a sister song to Happiness Is a Warm Gun for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Then we get into what I'd like to call the Animal Suite.
Yeah. Okay.
I know a little cheesy, but we got to Blackbird,
Hmm.
which this is a very great song. This song is, or this album in particular, is very political. I feel
Yeah.
like compared to every other
I
album by
mean,
them.
1968 was a political year.
Mhm.
Like Martin Luther King was assassinated, Bobby Kennedy was assassinated. Like there was a lot going on in
Yeah,
1968, and that's the year
so,
this came out. So I
and,
can
you
see,
got John Lennon in your band, a very political person. So
yeah, but this is McCartney's song,
this
which
is a McCartney song, yeah. But this is about the Little Rock Nine, the 9 black kids who broke segregation in schools,
yeah,
and very much inspired by them.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It was always Paul always thought it was like he imagined a black woman,
hmm,
and that was who the song was for.
hmm,
I was listening to one of his interviews actually. I think it was yesterday, about this song, and he was saying that he was very happy that a song like this was received in that way and the way he intended, because it meant a lot to him that the Beatles music was had a positive influence,
Yeah, I
and wasn't
agree.
there wasn't a lot of you know hate your parents and stick it to the man.
Yeah,
It was more inspirational. So and
yeah.
this song definitely does that. And nobody doesn't like the song. I saw him play it live in concert, and everyone loves this song.
Oh yeah, no, it's a great little acoustic ballad. I've always really liked. Everybody says that metronome. I'm pretty sure it's just his feet tapping.
Or he's tapping the guitar. I don't. Yeah, it's one or the other.
Yeah, but it keeps amazing time. This is a type of song that doesn't need drums. It shouldn't really have drums.
No, it's got enough rhythm in the guitar.
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
yeah, you don't really need it.
It's beautifully minimalistic, and it just sounds amazing.
You're right. It is him tapping his foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was tapping the guitar, but yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because there's video of him playing it in Anthology, and he's like tapping his feet while he's playing it for sure. Yeah,
Makes sense.
actually, and he has a good story about how they wrote this song. Is that when they were kids, him and George used to like practice this like thing from Bach,
Hmm.
and then he just slightly altered it, and that's how Blackbird, like the chords came to him to
Huh.
do Blackbird. But it was basically a Bach piece
Interesting.
that he just altered a little bit.
It's crazy how you change something only a little bit, and
It's a rock song, man. Yeah, for sure.
Anyways, we move on to Piggies, which, as I mentioned earlier, I think is kind of about communism.
Yeah, it's like very much like Animal Farm. Like it's like a lot like Pink Floyd Animals. The song Pigs. It's got the same kind of context. It's about rich people. It's about. I feel like it's about capitalism more than it's about communism. But
that's fair.
What do I know?
I guess it makes sense because this is another George song.
Yep.
He wrote Taxman too, so seems very anti-capitalism.
Yeah, it's about like people that consume and don't think and don't think about the world they're living in and what it means and appreciate what they have and any of those things,
pretty much.
Yeah.
It's a nice song. It's got, I think, a harpsichord in there.
Yeah, I think you're right. Who's playing the harpsichord on this? It's a guy named Chris Thomas. Who played with Pink Floyd and Elton John and The Who, and
was been a session musician.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing about the White Album. It's littered with session musicians that play all over it. Yeah, for sure. They all played on it. All four Beatles played on this, which is interesting. Although Lennon just did vocals. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, it's
I very much like this song. The only thing that's always bothered me is how like they kept in the line of George saying one more take.
Like before the next song starts.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like that, but
I would too if it didn't kind of interfere with the after part where it makes the part afterwards with the string thing and the pigs oinking it feels very unnatural because of it, I think.
Yeah, okay, well, that's a fair criticism.
Yeah,
it is a weird song too before Rocky Raccoon. I feel like that wasn't the right placement.
Yeah, I think Piggy should come after Rocky Raccoon almost.
Or they should have done Piggies, then Don't Pass Me By, then Rocky Raccoon. But they mixed it up. I don't know why they did that, but maybe just to break up the McCartney Lennon, because there's a lot of McCartney onto the White Album. That's the thing.
There is. There's a good bit of John too. Expected.
Okay, Rocky Raccoon.
Yep, and deep somewhere in the mountains, there's a man named Rocky Raccoon.
Do you know this song gets ranked like down a lot? Like a lot of people
really
like it. Yeah, like which I find very strange.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've always loved this song. Another storytelling song.
Yeah, it's another short story that that is completely made up. It's completely fictional.
Oh yeah.
But that's what's great about McCartney is he could just do that. He could just make up something, and
Yeah, no, he just made up a song about, again, this dude who gets his woman taken from him, fights the man in a duel and gets shot. That's pretty much all it's about.
Yeah, it's a love triangle kind of song.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's he's painting a picture, and you can see it. You can while you're listening to the song.
For sure.
Yeah.
I love I can only describe it as a saloon piano during the instrumental interlude.
Do you feel like he's kind of making fun of like Bob Dylan in the song?
I could see it. Oh, I could definitely see that. Even with like his voice tone.
Yeah, and just like the lyrics, like her name was McGill, but they called herself Lil. Or whatever.
Yeah.
All the stuff that he goes on about in the song.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's like Dylan, like because it makes no sense, but then when you think about it, you're like, oh, it could make sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's very much a Dylan thing, and a lot of people loved making fun of Dylan. So I wouldn't be shocked.
It's like I think what is it, the imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Yeah. I feel like that's kind of what's going on in Rocky Raccoon. I love Rocky Raccoon. I could listen to it over and over. It's a great little story. It's I love the saloon style. That's what the one thing that's great about the Beatles is that song to song to song, the styles are never the same.
They're never the same.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's all. That's it.
Yep.
And I feel that's the strongest on the White Album too. Every song kind of changes genre at least a little bit.
Yeah, like each side kind of has like it's kind of this is more the rock side or this is the country side, but yeah, definitely for sure it always changes and it's great.
We got "Don't Pass Me By,"
our only Ringo song on the album.
No, actually, "Good Night" was also a Ringo song,
but he didn't write it.
But yeah, so this is the only song that Ringo I think ever wrote for the Beatles.
No, he wrote Octopus's Garden.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
He wrote this one.
Oh, he wrote Yellow Submarine too. I guess,
no, he didn't. Yeah. No, that's Lennon McCartney. He's only written. I think it's only two. This one and Octopus's Garden. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. Which I really like. "Don't Pass Me By." It's really
I really like the song. Again, a very country song almost.
Yeah, it's definitely a country rock type thing. Yeah.
No, there's not much to say about it. Like it's definitely not a lyrically strong song, I'll say that, but it just sounds really nice.
Yeah. I guess he'd had this one in the kind of in the hopper a little bit for like since 1964 because it was like
64, huh?
Well, like he didn't have the whole song written, but the idea of the song was during like a BBC thing in 1964 when Paul McCartney was doing I Love Her. Star was asked if he had written a song, and Paul McCartney mocked him soon after, singing the first line saying, "Don't pass me by, don't make me cry, don't make me blue, baby." And so that's how Ringo kind of wrote the song.
I guess that's why Ringo didn't write very many songs. It took him 4 years to write a whole song.
Well, he needed Paul to make fun of him to get the motivation.
Yeah, that's fair. Anyways, it's a great song. That's pretty much all I can say about it.
Yeah, it's definitely different too. Every time you listen to it, you're like, this is the Beatles.
Yeah, there's not. I know we talked about a lot of country songs on here, but this is a very different kind of country song. It's like a swing thing.
Yeah, it's very like it's probably the most country song going on the album a little bit. Maybe that and Rocky Raccoon. But it's got a cool. I never like want to skip it. I'm not anti the song. A lot of people don't like it though.
That's interesting. Anyways, we have "Why Don't We Do It in the Road."
Not my favorite song.
I agree, but I don't know. I have fun with this. I think that this song is mainly carried by Paul's vocal performance, which I think is amazing.
I feel like it was like a half a song and they never finished it and they would just throw it on the
album. Because it's only like a minute long, I think.
It doesn't go anywhere. You know, like
Yeah,
it's just
yeah, that's fair too.
yeah. I
The
don't really.
only lines are, "Why don't we do it in the road?" and "Why no one will be watching us."
Yeah, this is one of the songs that they could have replaced it for something else, in my
That's
opinion.
fair.
You know, I'm not. I just think it. I don't think it was worthy of the album.
Mm.
But
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not. I'm not against it. I just think they could have probably given Harrison another song,
Mm.
rather than this one.
There was this. I know there is a song that it's very well known that Harrison never got on the album. So
Which one?
I don't remember the name of it, but I remember people it was talked about. I'm sure it's on the Asher sessions or something.
Yeah, sure demos. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can agree that this song isn't the best. And then we have "I Will."
Now, funny thing about this song is that it's one of the most listened to songs on Spotify.
Really?
For the yes.
I
don't understand it.
I barely remember it even right now.
It's like, who knows how long I
Oh, that
loved
song, yeah.
you. Yeah. It's I'm not a
It's
big
all
fan.
right. I feel like it's kind of plodding.
Both these songs, I'm not. I don't. Maybe it's their placement on the album too, but I'm just not the biggest fan of them where they sit. Because you already have Blackbird, Martha My Dear, and Rocky Raccoon on this side of this album. Do we need
And we
another
have these
Paul?
other two slower songs.
Well, do we need 4 Paul ballads on this side of the album? It's just kind of ridiculous,
That's fair.
To me, it's just like, well, it wasn't as good as those other 3. So
That's fair.
why is
I
it,
can agree with that.
so that's kind of, I think they would have done better to put a Lennon ballad, but they do right after this.
Yeah.
Is with Julia. So I
Julia.
think they should have put another Harrison song
Yeah.
in this 7 or 8 spot instead of one of
What
these.
we're saying is that "Why Don't We Do It in the Road" and "I Will" should have been taken out for a Harrison song or something.
I think so. Yeah. I think, or just moved into a different spot on the album. But that's neither here nor there. But "I Will's" a good song. It's just,
it's a good song, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Okay, Julia. I do really like this song.
Yeah. Julia feels like it should have been on Lennon's first solo album, Plastic Ono Band. Like that's kind of, it's like that personal song about his mom that is it feels like, to me, it's like almost a part of that album. I know it's not, but it almost belongs on that album.
Yeah, that's fair.
I like it. It's good. It's very slow though.
It's very slow. This is, as you said, it's the ballad side of the album. And it's interesting how he kind of does some self-reflection on the song. Half of what I say is meaningless. Stuff like that. Julia,
but I say it just to reach you, Julia, because his mom had died.
Yeah, his mom had died a long time ago.
In I think 1959.
Yeah.
Right when they were just about to, 1958, just about when they were about to start becoming the Beatles.
Right.
There's a good movie. You've ever seen? It's called Nowhere Boy.
I think I've heard of that. Yeah.
Well, they depict like her death in that movie and when Paul first met John, and you should watch it. It's good. It's a good little movie. Yeah,
I'm sure. Interesting.
But it kind of depicts the whole story of like where this song comes from and what it's about, and I guess it had been 10 years since she died, so maybe that was probably a part of why you wrote it at that time.
Yeah, that could be it. And I think this is a good ending song. It's just very personal. I really like it.
Yeah, he said, I lost her twice. Once because she gave him up and gave him to his Aunt Mimi, who really raised John.
Right.
And then she came back into his life like when he was like 17, and then she dies like a year later. Yeah. So
we start side 3 with "Birthday," and I'm not gonna lie, this is not a song I'm really particularly fond of.
Yeah, I mean, I like it, but at the same time, it's not my favorite song at all on the album. Not even close. It's like a mid. It's mid. it's a lot of people dislike it because it's very repetitive. It is kind of annoying to listen to.
Yeah.
But it's kind of nice that they did a birthday song that um wasn't happy birthday to you. I always appreciated that.
Yeah. That's fair. It's no, I can entirely agree.
Yeah.
That's about all I can say about it, though. I just don't think it's particularly interesting. Anyways,
Yeah, it was
oh
made up.
yeah,
It's a made up on the spot song that they.
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
We got Your Blues. I really like this song. Very good parody of blues music.
Yeah, it's very Muddy Waters
Hmm.
style. I think they were inspired a lot by Dylan and a lot of the music that was becoming very popular at that time, like Cream, like
Right.
Eric Clapton's Cream and Hendrix.
Mhm.
And I feel like that this was them trying to keep up with them.
And then yeah, no, I just think that I think it's almost like mocking in a fun way. They got in the morning want to die, in the evening want to die, which I
Yeah.
always thought is a hilarious line because it's like,
If I ain't dead already,
yeah,
baby, you ain't seen nothing yet, or whatever.
yeah, the melodrama, I love it. It's just so funny to me, and I think it's supposed to be. So I've always really liked this song.
Yeah, no, it's good. I enjoyed the live performance he did at the Rock and Roll Circus, probably the most of it. When he did it with Keith Richards, Mitch Mitchell, he's got Clapton, that's kind of the best version for me.
Okay. Good. Mother Nature's Son. Next. I actually really like this song. I think it's mainly held up by George Martin, though.
Yeah, that helped. But it's really sweet. Again, there's a lot of Paul ballads, acoustic ballads on this. That's why some of them I'm just like, really? And it's but this one stands out. It's melancholy. That's it. It's nice. It's a nice listen, especially after your blues. It's a nice, cool down from that.
Yeah, very much so. I don't really got much else to say about it, though. It's nice, but it's not anything particularly noteworthy, I think.
Yeah, it's a Paul. Could have been on a Paul Soul album. It's not really a Beatles song.
No, which I feel like is very much true for this album because I feel like they're kind of splitting apart at this point.
Yeah, well, that's definitely what. But there's certain songs they come together and they play together very well. But this side 3 is very much like solo songs.
Yeah,
you could see the first half of the album is
other than
more cohesive.
Birthday and Helter Skelter, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and even those songs are they come together and play together, but they're the direction of them is very much like, this is Paul and this is what I want to do and we're doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyways, everybody's got something to hide except me and my monkey.
Love it.
I love this song. I love the title. Very fun.
Yeah, I love the key, the piano in it. It's great. It's it's fun.
John song, I think.
Kind of goes with Bungalow Bill to me. It's kind of in the same vein.
All right.
See, Paul McCartney believed that this song was about heroin, as the term monkey is often associated with the drug. McCartney said John started talking about fixes and monkeys. It was a harder terminology which the rest of us weren't into. Lennon referred to the song in the final interview he gave before his murder in 1980, saying, "As I put it in my last incarceration, this song, it means really that no one can absolutely be oneself in public, because the fact that you're in public makes you have to have some kind of a defense or whatever it is." So I never realized that that's what he was saying in the song. Is basically when you're in front of people, you're not really yourself. You got, everybody's got something to hide.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
Yeah, It's it's a very deep song for something that it just seems like a fun dumb
A
song.
little fun song, yeah. We got Sexy Sadie. I always liked this song even as a kid.
I love Sexy Sadie.
Yeah. Which of course is about Maharishi and Mahesh, but George Harrison forced him to change the lyrics. Yeah.
Yeah, because they were gonna get sued.
Uh,
So that's why they changed it.
yeah.
Yeah, because it was very like originally the lyrics were Maharishi, you little twat. Who the fuck do you think you are? Who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah.
You cunt. You know, so
You
it was
pretty
a little angry.
Yeah. A little, you think? Yeah.
Yeah.
Between this and I'm So Tired, I think he kind of hates this guy.
Yeah, so something happened with the Maharishi where they basically found out he was like a cultist kind of creeper.
Yeah.
You know, so they were like, okay.
I read up a little bit about him, and he does not seem like the nicest person.
No. Yeah, it didn't go as planned, I guess. Yeah, but I love it. Love this song. One of my favorite songs, Kiyaji.
Yeah, it's a good song. I've always just liked the piano, how it's like reverbed,
Yeah,
and then the drums are very well mixed on this. And then I like how his voice feels very close, like he's like personally drilling into him.
yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, great track. One of my favorites on the album.
Mm-hmm. We get to Helter Skelter, which this song is so heavy. You know, I mean, it's not so heavy, but it's so heavy. You know, it's a very strong song, I think, which is interesting because it's kind of about nothing. It's about a slide, apparently, in Britain or something like that.
Yeah, it's about like it's called the Helter Skelter at Clacton Pier in Essex, and it's like one of those like spiral slides you go down at a carnival. Yeah, so and basically the whole idea of this track was that someone told him that the Who and Pete Townshend had written the hardest, loudest, raunchiest song ever, and Paul took that as a challenge and he said we have to do that now, and so that's Helter Skelter.
That's fair. It makes perfect sense. And it's interesting, though. I think it's very interesting to talk about this song now because it has a very, unintended meaning now because of Manson.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, people think about Manson when it comes up for sure, but
because he was inspired by it very much. But yeah,
whatever.
I just think this is a very it's weird how like it's not very distorted, but it still feels very heavy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the intention.
Yeah, I know, but like they didn't really have that kind of distortion yet, and I feel like that benefits it almost.
Well, like they say it like influenced heavy metal and like bands like Metallica and that
which I can see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But now we get to I think what might be my favorite Beatles song ever. Actually, I really like long.
A Harrison song.
Yeah.
I like it. I feel like this is the song you put on to go to sleep.
Yeah. Which is funny because this is a song there's literally a song called Good Night on this album, but I can see that. I don't know. I just very much like the reverberation on the guitar and the cracking of the drums.
So listen to this, and this is kind of interesting. I didn't know this, but it makes sense. So this song originated during a period in which Harrison emerged as like a prolific songwriter, and he started listening to a lot of Bob Dylan, and he based the chord pattern on "Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowlands." You know that song by Bob Dylan?
No, I don't.
It's on, I believe it's on Blonde on Blonde, but which is the album that Bob recorded while he was right before he got into the car accident or the motorcycle accident. Anyway, while the song's understated arrangement partly reflects the influence of the band's music from Big Pink, the Beatles recorded it in London towards the end of the White Album sessions, which were marked by what the band was falling out with each other because of what happened with Rishikesh. It's like an ambient ballad, but I think it's interesting that it does feel a little bit like music from Big Pink. It's got that vibe to it,
Interesting. Yeah.
and so and then it also influenced one of my favorite artists later on is Elliott Smith. So
Mm.
he was you can hear it. You can hear all those different
Yeah,
kind
I
of
can definitely hear the Elliott Smith in there. That's fair.
yeah. So it's cool. It's a cool song. It's a nice change of pace because it doesn't. It's nothing like the rest of the other.
No, it really isn't.
You know?
Overall, I feel like side 3 is very lopsided towards the back. Like the last 4 songs, I think hold this song, this side up.
Well, I think with side 3 is birthday is not for everybody, and it's not all the songs aren't for everybody. Like not everybody loves Helter Skelter. Not everybody loves Your
Sexy
Blues
Sadie.
or or Sexy But I think everybody will find one of the songs there and really gravitate and really love. For me, it's Sexy Sadie and probably Mother Nature's Son are my 2 favorite. And everybody's got something to hide. Those 3 songs in a row I love listening to, and then the other ones are I have to be in the mood for them.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. We go to Revolution 1. So I know that this isn't really fair because this is the first version of the song, but I've always preferred Revolution to Revolution 1.
Well, I think most people do.
I just think that it's just a little too slow, I think.
Yeah. I think they could have used the Revolution, like the fast version here, because everything on this side 4 is kind of slow,
and I think the lyrics benefit a lot more from the faster tone too.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like one of those songs that I guess they recorded it and then they're like, you should make it faster, and then they made that the single.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
It's still a good song, I guess, but just I don't know. I could never get away from preferring that version.
Yeah, I mean the fast version is definitely better. It's definitely more of like a single version. I like that we have both.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
I think that they should have been swapped though.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Honey Pie. I very much like this song. I feel like it's almost like
it's like a 1920s.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, like a 1920s, 1930s song. Yeah.
Yeah.
For them, it was relatively, I guess, recent.
Yeah, it would have been like the 80s for us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not that long ago, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't alive, but they definitely, their parents listened to that music.
Yeah. Yeah. So they were probably around it a lot. Yeah. I don't know. I like this song.
I love it. I love Honey Pie. It's a great song. I love the 1920s style swing time type stuff. I dig this one a lot.
Better than Wild Honey Pie, for sure.
Yeah.
Got Savoy Truffle.
Harrison song.
Yeah. It's a good song. It's not really about much, but it's about sweets, I guess. But it's yeah. I don't even really know how to describe this one, but I like it.
It's kind of like it's got like the horns. It's got like it's kind of it's kind of like a Motown song to me, almost. That's how I kind of hear it. But it's kind of jazzy. It's kind of again, it's different. Like that's the one thing about Harrison. He's very different to Lennon and McCartney. That's what I dig about it. That's why I wish he got a little bit more consideration. Because
exactly. That's how I feel. It's because all of his songs I really like. Wish he got more.
Yeah.
I guess if you want that, you should go listen to All Things Must Pass.
That's it. That's all. I would, All Things Must Pass is kind of like his crown jewel. So, yeah, and a lot of those songs on All Things Must Pass were songs like for the White Album that were passed up, and for Let It Be and Abbey Road. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Cry, baby, cry.
A lot of people don't like this song, but I like it. I love it.
I think it's okay.
Lennon didn't like it. He said he wasn't happy with it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It also has a hidden song at the end, so which is kind of cool.
I guess, yeah.
Can You Take Me Back, right?
Yeah, that's true. Which is interesting. That's a McCartney thing, I think.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because it kind of prepares you for Revolution 9.
Right.
So,
The most controversial song.
the most controversial song by the Beatles.
It's not really a song. It's
Not really a song. I think it's wrong to think of it as one.
It's a sound collage.
It's a sound collage, yeah. I do like this song.
Yeah.
But I don't think it should have been 8 minutes long.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's very dark. Yeah.
I hated it when I first listened to it. I was like, "What is this?" You know, I didn't understand it for a long time, and then
That's fair.
And then I got to a point where I was like, "This is actually really cool," you know, because there's nothing else like it.
No, there really isn't. I just kind of respect Revolution 9.
Yeah.
You know? I think a lot of people associate this song heavily too with Yoko Ono. So I don't know. I've just always thought this song was powerful in the way that it's like just cacophonous.
I feel like it's like a mystery, and you have to like listen really closely with headphones on to even figure out what the hell's going on. I think that's what's interesting to me. It's
it's got all that panning left to right, right to left, left to right,
and you're trying to hear what the hell's going on. Plus, like there's all the, when you play it backwards stuff with the Paul is Dead stuff. That's endlessly entertaining. So,
yep, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we got this very cacophonous song, and then we've got the closer, Good Night. Now, Good Night, it's a pretty good song. I actually really like this song. Again, another very story time song, very child song.
Yeah, John Lennon's song that he wrote for Julian.
Yeah,
it was a lullaby. And
sung by Ringo.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice that he gave it to Ringo. I think it makes sense.
I think that it really benefits from his voice.
Yeah, there's certain like when they gave Ringo a song, I'm always like that makes sense. Like Yellow Submarine. It's usually kids songs. Like you're right. Like it's
he had this very interesting like I guess like in tuning with his inner child.
Yeah. A lot of like I always kind of wondered, like, was it the best decision to put this after Revolution Number 9? Should Revolution Number 9 have ended the album? I kind of understand why they didn't, because it's a nice way to like, if you did like Revolution Number 9, well, here's one more song that might make you feel a little bit better.
Yeah, I think that it is the best ending to the album because it just kind of wraps everything up, I think, in a very nice way, which is what a closing track should do.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We have a feeling of finality. All right, it's time for the game of favorite track, least favorite track. So, what's your favorite track?
Probably Dear Prudence would be my favorite track.
Yeah, that's fair. You only kind of named your child after it.
Yeah, if people asked me what my favorite Beatles track would be, I would probably have to pick it.
Yeah, that's fair. For me, I think it's still going to be Long, Long, Long. I've just always very liked this song. Very inspiring, very heavy too, in a sense. But
yeah, I like it too. It's good. It's a good choice. It's definitely different. It's not the obvious choice. I don't think most people would pick it.
And then I think for least favorite song, we're both going to be unanimously picking Wild Honey
Pie. Least favorite, yeah. Either that or Why Don't We Do It in the Road?
Okay.
I'll pick that one just to be different.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Both Paul's songs, so I don't know what that says.
He got too many songs on the album. That's what
That's fair. Yeah, no, that's fair. Anyways, let me stream the. All right. Oh, it's time for ratings.
Okay.
So for music, I think that I'm going to give it a solid 8. It's good, but there are definitely some rougher songs on it. You?
9.5 for me for the music.
That's fair. Lyrically, I'm also going to give it an 8 because while there are a lot of really well thought out and written songs, there are also a lot of songs that are just kind of about nothing, which is fine, but lyrically, not the best.
Mm-hmm. I go 9.5 again.
Okay. Pacing, I'm gonna give this a 10. I think this is, I've listened to a lot of long albums recently. I feel like this had the best pacing of any of them, by far.
Yeah, pacing's like a 10.
I don't even think about the pacing on this album, which means it's a 10.
Yeah,
I think.
I agree.
Visuals, I'll give it a 9. I really like the visuals of this album. I like how minimalistic it is, and I like the pictures and the gatefold.
Yeah, well, it's like the total opposite of the previous 2 albums, Magical Mystery
Which
Tour
is
and Sgt. Pepper. Well, yeah, well, no, they were in trouble or whatever, and that's the whole reason why it was the White Album was basically they're like, well, to just do nothing, just make it a blank album, and so yeah, for sure,
yeah,
it's kind of cool. I give it like an 8.
Yeah, I've always thought it was nice. Production, I mean, the George Martin production, it really does deserve a 10. Don't even think about it.
Production, yeah, 10. Yeah, for sure.
That leaves us with a combined score of not showing up, I guess. It's not showing up. Guess I'll have to append that afterwards. Okay. It doesn't seem to be working. Anyways, we are part of, get it here, a
United Federation of Podcasts.
United Federation of Podcasts. So we got Hellbound, horror themed podcast with Michael Chan. Got X-Rated with Davin Skelhorn. They get a lot of guests from the show. They got voice actors. They got people who worked on the show. That's really cool. So go check that out. Got Long Living Podcast. I don't know what they're talking about this week. We got Trivial Debates. I think either today or tomorrow. Should be doing a Big Brother themed episode apparently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they are for Trivial Debates. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I got the Super Mario Brothers podcast. You guys doing anything this week?
Just Big Brother, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, Hold Up movie podcast.
I was just on it. I was on it last night.
What was it?
Time travel.
What did you think of the movies?
They were cool. They were all very different and from very different periods of time. There's a cool one
on there.
No, we did Time After Time from 1979.
Okay.
Which actually inspired Cyndi Lauper's song "Time After Time." She was looking for a title for a song, and she just picked that, saw that movie, and then wrote a song. Anyway, I didn't know that, but I found that out last night. So if you want to learn more things like that, check it out. But then we watched Sphere, which was my choice from 1998, and then we watched Primer from 2004. Have you ever seen this movie, Primer?
No.
You should check it out. It was made for $7,000, and
that's really cheap.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's kind of cool.
Interesting. All right. Anyways, this has been the Eamon on Track podcast. I've been Eamon.
I've been Jeff.
Yeah. And we will see you next time.